BIP of Bizarre Interest Productions, and this is the second time I'm working on the script to make it more finalized, but let's talk. Type Power Rangers is Toku in the comments, because I've been wanting to talk about this for a while since I talked about Ninja Steel before. Victor, Vincent, and Monty. Wow, they really didn't give him a last name? In the comments, give Monty a last name. Be creative. But yeah, Ninja Steel, seasons 24 and 25, adapting footage from the polarizing Shuriken Sentai no Ninja, and it was not that well received, with the writing being affected by several executive mandates, forcing the series to have unfunny juvenile writing, non-sneaking ninja activities, limiting what they could do with the ninja team, lacking long story arcs, fart jokes, and the comic relief duo mandated to have 2 scenes in every episode. Victor and Monty. Easily 2 of the most divisive characters in the entirety of Power Rangers, and yes, they have their fans. Why? Because compared to the characters we should be here for, they actually got to act on their personalities, and Victor's goal for getting his 50th trophy was more of an overarching story than most of the protagonists and antagonists got. And the actors, defensive of their characters they were, gave it their all with their acting. Especially since turns out they're actually usually involved in stage theater and improv, so kudos! And Peter Sudarso, actor of the Ninja Steel Blue Ranger, claimed the duo and show would improve, telling that #show it pays off even more continually. Their story actually ties in. For the past couple of episodes you guys have been watching, it's like Vic and Monty. Side nuisance. They're really fun, but side nuisance for the storyline anyway. Later on, it becomes like Rangers interacting with Vic and Monty instead of Vic and Monty go do B story and have their own thing. And somehow semi-link it back to the story of Ninja Steel. And no disrespect to Peter, but that didn't quite happen. The only time Victor and Monty ever played a direct role in the A-plot of episodes is if they're either trying to fight the monster and their roles in the finale. And since the episodes usually waste about 2 to 5 minutes on their B stories, forcing time away from the Rangers, the better uses are when the writers force them out of the story to focus on what the people are actually here for. Granted, there are a few episodes I think they were pretty effective in, but the question is, would Ninja Steel have been better without them? Depends. Power Rangers giving every character their own comedy to help them feel more like 3-dimensional characters, or putting Victor and Monty's characterization on a duo of Rangers would be less of a hassle. But if we had to work with them to fix them for an entire 2 seasons, there are some issues we need to tackle, i.e. the fart jokes, cutting down the cheater for Victor and competitive threat that he actually is supposed to be, so the Rangers feel more human Ranger connection. Focus on the fact that Victor is supposed to be a big man on campus instead of just being a total dweeb that everyone hates. They need to be way more antagonistic bullies to the Rangers in Season 1. They need to cut down on them being cartoons. They have to make them more likable in Season 2 and spread out their more likable moments more evenly, and don't make their relationship so one-sided. So let's tackle each beast. Naturally, removing the fart jokes would be better, but since we have to work within the mandates, there's 2 options. Try to make the fart jokes actually funny, something only Total Drama can do decently, or we use it as an opportunity to actually explore something. Give Monty IBS. Irritable bowel syndrome is a common gastrointestinal disorder characterized by abdominal pain, bloating, gas, and changes in bowel habits, which given Monty's flatulence, he can only work on something like that or control it with strong exercise and diet. But if Victor was actually helping out with him exercising and working through it, that actually make their friendship feel more believable and play on Monty's heroic worship of Victor. Wouldn't you respect someone trying to help out their friend with a chronic illness? Heck, in Season 1's finale, you can have Monty make a device converting his farts into explosive energy to help fight the mooks, but change the sound effects of the farts to not make it feel so juvenile. And Victor uses that to help them escape the Warrior Dome in Season 1. In Season 2, rather than fart repellent, have them try to sell and make multiple variations of the device to help people fight against monsters, but since it's powered by Monty's IBS condition, only he can use it effectively. Next, we just need to cut down Victor's cheating and Monty's inconsistency. There's a few times where the writers will literally have Victor cheat in order to secure a victory, and there's a difference between him doing it competitively and realistically versus him being too lazy to do something physical or having Monty build him something to do it. Just have him be physically dominant and challenge the Rangers in their activities, like he should have beat Haley in their tennis match instead of relying on a robot arm, force Brody and Levi to work with Shoe Spike after getting an advantage over them in the race. There's no reason for him to cheat or for Monty of all people to fail a math test. They also need to be more consistent on Victor being the big man on campus everyone follows. Like, the debate I've been hearing is whether or not he was the big man on campus everyone follows, or was a dweeb. I would say keep it that he's the big man on campus, but that's because almost everyone's afraid of him. But because of his influence and charisma, he can get the rest of the school to make the Ninja Steel Rangers' lives feel like outcasts. The show basically implied that Preston and Calvin were outcasts because of his behavior, but it's harder to influence Sarah and Haley since she's new and Haley's well-liked. So when Victor gets his comeuppance, people will laugh but shut up since Vic's got social clout, and maybe play up Vic's got money in his family while promoting Monty's inventions, explaining why both of them get on the Summer Cove with this idea that it was a private high school or one that promotes potential talents. They also just need to be way more antagonistic bullies to the Rangers in Season 1. Yeah, see, Bulk and Skull, Ben and Betty, Cassidy and Devin, all of them worked to some degree because even if they weren't antagonistic to the Rangers, they all started as not great and throughout the series became better. With Victor and Monty, they had the potential to be the most antagonistic and effective comedy relief duo, undermined by the fact the show didn't use them to be obstacles in the Rangers' life or meaningful victims to the villains. Victor can rival Brody, Calvin, Haley, and Levi physically. Monty rivals Preston and Sarah as the hobbyist and tech expert. But then you got Victor cheating with a robot arm and Monty not studying for tests. You know what was a good episode for them? Monkey Business. Haley and Calvin were having meaningful issues with one another for president, so Victor and Monty escalated into a food fight to make both Ranger teams feel worse and blame each other for what happened, which worked because the monster was manipulating voices to make them target each other. Then after the end, when the Rangers reconcile, Victor and Monty get their karma despite winning by default. That's what they needed to do more. Interfere and make the Rangers' lives worse to tie it into the monster. Them trying to fight the monster in episode 3 while Brody was doubting himself was a good example of that. Monty outing fears to Preston, bullying him about his magic was a good start. But it never continues, and their side plots almost have nothing to do with either the monster or what the Ranger struggles are going through. Have them get brainwashed by a monster and become effective fighters. Try beating up the tarantula monster when all the Rangers but Calvin get eaten and then they get swallowed up. Have Victor try shooting multiple Galvan axes and hits one by mistake, giving Sarah the idea to make the virus. Have Victor taunt Calvin about always being a mechanic that can do anything else and force him to change. Have Victor try to be a music star for Aware to upstage Levi and make Levi recognize he can't focus on too many things when the world's in danger. Have Monty be the one testing dangerous equipment and Sarah has to figure out how to make them work more effectively. Like, it should not be this hard to use them well, and yet the writers just didn't do that. Speaking of things that they should do, but they don't, people have pointed out that them being treated as cartoon characters breaks the world because their antics make it feel like Looney Tunes, when the threat of the monster attack should be more scary and effective. My problem is that for the sake of comedy, some of these moments are completely just undeserved, unfunny, or just pointless. Like in episode 5, Victor and Monty get caught in a web enlarged by their farts, and then they get flung into the sky because comedy, even though they could probably get killed. Then in episode 8, Victor ends up getting flown away into the stratosphere where he could possibly die. In episode 3 of Super, he tries making feet clone to impress a fake woman. In episode 6 of Super, they get shipped to meet animals in Africa, which, hey, even if they're jerks, they don't deserve to die. In Super 12, Victor actually gets the commercial, but since he can't grow facial hair, they ditch him and they didn't even give him the money he was promised, even though he was actually preparing and doing a good job with the acting performance before going feral. And in Super 16, they actually manage to restore the city's electricity, but then they get abandoned by their agent instead of getting any reward for their actions. You see what I mean? Pictures of the monster and treat their potential deaths have something serious that could actually harm them. Like, the show wants us to hate them, but then they do things that just make us feel bad for them. So they need to be made more likable in Season 2, and they need to spread out those likability moments more evenly. So how do we make them more likable in Season 2? Well, there's two ways. For the first half of the season, aka episodes 1 through 12, the simple solution is that with Monty being able to hunt monsters, Victor would naturally want to take monster fighting more seriously. So let's take that plot line from Samurai, where Bulk was trying to train Spike into becoming a samurai, with Monty and Vincent trying to get trophies by mastering ninjutsu, fail spectacularly, but by the times where the Galactic Ninjas show up, here's what we're going to do. Without Fox, remember how the Rangers lost their powers? You know what would work really well? Victor and Monty, now that the Rangers have lost their powers, stand up and try to fight for people, encouraging the depowered Rangers to fight even without their powers. You want to repurpose Bulk and Skull? You give them a meaningful impact. Then, after the 25th anniversary episode, try to make them, well, more likable. Cut the fart joke and abusive power. Love things you can keep, but fan frenzy. Let him earn a trophy for his acting skills for actually trying. Prepare to fail. Having them also try to fight Brax and get kidnapped so Sarah actually has a physical incentive to try to save somebody and own up for her mistakes would actually work. Tech support, they were actually decent because they didn't try to cheat, it just their invention didn't work out. Car Trouble was actually good because they ended up actually, helping them save the city, and actually give us a reason why they are the way they are before the show ends. Say Victor earning his trophies gave him some meaning in his life after being ambitionless, and Monty never had someone who valued his talents until meeting Victor. So their actions is them taking their lives into their own hands and just trying to live their best life that they could, even if their methods and mentality can be kind of childish and rude. Happy to Be Me just had them roll in mud. What I offer has way more substance. But before I talk about the finale, there is something I need to address. So, Caleb Bennett, who played Monty, confirmed that to make Victor and Monty's dynamic work, Monty would have to be in love with Victor that was one-sided, which Victor would never return because not only is he so far above his old butthole, but he'd be too oblivious. So Caleb played the scenes as Monty being gay because it was well obvious to anyone who read the script given to them. To be fair, lines like, "Victor, there's no one in the world more handsome than you," yeah, I can't blame them for thinking that way. Even the writers praised Bennett's take on the character. However, 2 months into the shooting, Reed and Bennett were caught off guard when told by higher-ups in production, "We know what you're doing," telling him not to push his knees so close together or to touch Victor, but he and everyone else treated the rules like a joke because no one enforced them, especially with Bennett taking as inspiration, with Sam and Bennett confirming that the gay relationship was never implied, and it's meant to be an extreme form of hero worship, since Victor's narcissism would never let himself and Monty as anything more than a useful servant. Personally, after thinking about it, while I could see the downsides to it being seen as a toxic relationship, I think making them gay would be the best thing to the character. Yes, Victor is a narcissist, but the fun part about writing a story is that you can actually have people grow and change. Say after the Galactic Ninjas are defeated, he starts to realize that he's only made it this far because of Monty, and starts treating him so badly on his road to, let's say, trophies 48 and 50. So during the should have been 3-part finale, as they're fighting for their lives on the show, have Victor thank Monty in what would be their finale moments. Monty confesses, but Victor's so focused on the adrenaline that he goes beast mode fighting his way to the Kudabots and helping people escape the ship and disabling the force field to allow the ninjas to transform. Then when they escape, they get their final trophy. Monty gives Victor a celebratory kiss while Victor's living the ecstasy of him accomplishing his dream. Take what you got and make it better. And before I get some homophobe in my comment section, even before my age, I consume media with cannibalism, warfare, torture, decapitation, murder, enslavement, genocide, stalking, homicide, abusive parents, abusive relationships, poisoning, bullying, harassment. Like, if you generally think seeing 2 gay men kiss is going to be a problem or make you gay, then either you're gay and you don't want to admit it, or you get mad and just forget about it in a week. So, to conclude, here's how we fix Victor and Monty. We're going to start them with 40 or 45 trophies, and then they earn about 5 to 10 more trophies throughout the story, so the Rangers can get some L's in their human lives to motivate them. For the first 18 episodes, we are going to actually have them antagonize and push drama between the Rangers, while also being monster victims, but tone down the comedy so they actually feel like they're in danger. Then in episode 19, we'll have them in the beginning actually try to take the Power Star so they can become ninja heroes too, with Odious claiming it's to stop Galvanex when she recruits them, only for them to realize she's lying to them. Monty uses his new device so Victor can help them escape, and they tried to sell it only to fail at the start of season 2. Assuming Victor needs to learn ninja techniques better, they try fighting off some of the monsters or cheat against the Rangers with his own skill and Monty's tech instead of just one of them. But by the time of the Galactic Ninjas, they want to earn their trophy actually saving people and getting revenge on Odious for lying to them. And they stand up when the Rangers fall, encouraging the heroes to get back up after the two are almost killed protecting people when the Rangers lose their powers. After the crossover episode, after Love Stings, because Victor getting come up into the episode for trying to swindle girls was hilarious. They try earning the remaining trophies doing good and accidentally helping the Rangers out, leading to the 3-part finale where they end up in a Warrior Dome. Actively lead the other civilians to fight back against the Basher bots, risk their life to shut down the transformation force field so that the other Rangers can transform, and tell each other just how much the other means to them in what look like their final moments as they're surrounded, before one of the Rangers is able to go save them in time, and they set off the bombs to destroy parts of the ship while getting everyone else to escape back to Earth. And for leading the charge, they get their 50th trophy. So, not as long as the Haley and Calvin video that no one watched, but I think I did a better job in making Victor and Monty decently likable, especially since they're going to be forced to watch them for at least 37 episodes. I know some people would say to just get rid of them as characters, but given that I said we have to work within the mandates, I do feel like this is the better take on incorporating them in the story, as opposed to them either taking over the story or taking away from the parts of the story that matter, since better execution can always make something that seemed weak much stronger. So, what do you think? Do you guys like my changes or fixes, or am I just stupid and just as incompetent as the writers? Anyway, that's all from me. Thanks for watching, and BIP of Bizarre Interest Productions, signing off.